For a little background, I'm a female and I've been going to the gym for several years. I work out usually about the same time every day, and this is something that happened last year. The gym that I go to is an average sized gym. Typically, I work out in the afternoon after I get some work done. Then I go home. One day, I arrived at the gym after work like any other day. I went to the locker room, changed, then went out to warm up on the treadmill. The treadmills at my gym face part of the weight room. I remembered that when I was walking on the treadmill, I noticed a guy sitting down on a bicep curling machine, which happened to be facing my direction. Moments later, I looked back in my direction and saw that the guy was staring at me. I looked away only to see him staring at me again. By the third time catching him staring at me, it was sort of awkward. It was a guy who I'd never seen before. I kind of kept an eye on him and he didn't even seem to be using the machine other than just to sit down on it. I did my best to ignore the man and move on with my workout. I finished on the treadmill and moved away to the weight area. This was past where the man was and he also left. For the next 10 minutes or so, everything was fine. But when I turned around, I saw the guy sit on a bench far away from me. Once again, he was staring at me. I thought to myself, great, a gym creep. I wasn't really sure how to handle it. The man appeared to be in his 40s. He was about average height and average weight. He had light brown hair, sort of messy. Once again, he wasn't even working out, but he was just watching me. I moved to another corner of the gym where I could do my same workout. I told myself just ignore him. I worked out for probably 20 minutes or so until I was done. When I stopped, I turned around to leave. Once more, there was a guy. It wasn't as obvious that he was sitting there facing me, but he would be at equipment close to me, or that was facing me. I never noticed him doing any sets or working out at all. I decided to leave after that because I was pretty much done. I went to the women's locker room, changed, and got my gym bag. When I came out of the locker room, I didn't immediately notice the guy, which was good. But when I was walking to the front door to leave, I saw him sitting in the chair in the lobby area. This wasn't good because I knew he would see me when I passed by him. He didn't get up though, so I felt better. I got back to my car, then left to drive home. I just hoped that the man would not become a regular at my gym. There was no way that he wasn't intentionally staring at me. If that continued, I was definitely going to report him. I drove home and it took maybe 10 minutes. I made it back to my house, and after going inside I started to go through my normal routine. I was entering my living room when I noticed out of my window a car was slowly down the street. The car went a little ways past my house, and then it looked like it was going to pull up over the side of the road. It sort of went out of my sight, and for a moment I figured that it was going to the neighbors. I was just about to walk away from my window, but I decided not to. Moments later, I saw a man walking along the side of the street. I saw that it was the same man from the gym. I couldn't believe my eyes. He walked up the street and then right into my front yard. I moved over to a better place to look out of my window where I was less visible. The man walked right up to the front step, then he knocked on the door. At this point, he was sort of out of my sight when he went behind it. I didn't answer the door, but instead I called the police. Several minutes later, the man knocked again. This time, he knocked louder than before. But after I didn't answer that time, he left. I watched him walk back to his car, and probably less than a minute later, he drove away. After the police arrived, I told them that the man left, and they were able to locate him shortly after. I'm pretty sure they just told him to leave me alone though. I don't think they gave him a ticket or anything. Luckily, I haven't seen the man since. One day, I was at my gym doing cardio on a treadmill. It was pretty empty and there wasn't many people there. I always use a treadmill in front of the mirrors so I can pay attention to my surroundings. I was on a treadmill that was 2 away from the end, and all of them were empty except one on the opposite end. This man got on a treadmill right next to me, which was weird, but okay. I had my headphones on, watching a show, and every so often I looked up at the mirrors to check my surroundings. Every time I would look up, the man was staring at me. Around 37 minutes into my 45-minute cardio workout, he dropped his phone. But he dropped his phone on my side of his treadmill. I was watching in the mirror and he basically threw it down next to me. He got off the treadmill, picked up his phone, and then tapped me on the shoulder. I never took my headphones out so I couldn't really hear what he was saying, but it seemed like he introduced himself. I never caught his name. Then he asked me my name and I gave him a fake one. He then said something else. I couldn't really tell because I couldn't hear him, but it looked like he was saying, "Do you want fudge?" for some reason. I don't know why he would ask me that, but reading his lips, It looked like he was saying, "Do you want fudge?" Again, I couldn't hear him. I just nodded and returned to my show, clearly uninterested in whatever he was saying. At this point, I only had 5 minutes left. Every time I looked in the mirror, he was staring right at me. I finished my workout and then went to the stretching areas near the treadmills, but I was still in front of the mirrors. I also took a glance to see how long he'd been on the treadmill already, something like 8 minutes or so. It wasn't long enough to get a workout or even warm up. When I moved to the stretching area, he moved to the closest machine and was staring at me. I actually caught him staring at me when I was on my back with my legs behind my head. Yes, that is a stretch that I do. He then walked a little closer. At this point, I took off and got out of there. I ran to the door and I didn't look back. I got in my car, sat down, turned it on, and grabbed my seatbelt. As I was about to click it into place, the passenger side door opened. I saw the man reach across the passenger seat. I yelled at him to get out of my car, and I pulled up out of the parking spot with both doors wide open whilst he was holding onto the door. He fell off the side of the car after holding on for about 20 meters. I drove a mile down the road with my passenger side door open. When I got home, I noticed the man had dropped a bag on the floor by the passenger seat. In the bag, he had duct tape, a hammer, and some spermicidal lube. The next day I went to the gym to report him, but like I said, I never got his name. The gym didn't want to look at the cameras with me right there, and I said once they figured out who he was, they would talk to him, which really didn't feel like they was going to do anything about the situation. So, the next week, I cancelled my gym membership and never went back to that gym again. I used to work at a gym that was open for 24 hours. It was a pretty large gym and had more than just a weight room and exercise room. We had 2 levels, a basketball court, and several classrooms for fitness classes like yoga and multiple weight rooms and cardio areas. The gym had a good number of employees and we needed them due to its size. However, at night, not many people worked because there wasn't many people going to the gym. When I first started, I mostly had worked overnight hours. Most of the time, we still had around 4 or 5 employees working at once, but they were really spread out. Somebody would be at the front desk and somebody else would be at another desk. The others would go around and do whatever was needed. We would switch around who did what, and we were all trained in several different tasks. One night, I was working, it was really late. At this time, it was probably around 1 AM, which was the quietest time there. From about midnight to 4 AM, it was really quiet. A decent number of people would work out starting around 4 AM. It was still quiet, but significantly busier. Then, at 6 AM, it would start to get even more busy. That's usually when I got off. On this particular night, around 2 AM in the morning, it was really dead. I think maybe 2 or 3 people in the entire gym working out. I went out to get some cleaning done in several different areas, but they were really far away. The more common areas would get cleaned more often and they were high priority, but other spots would be cleaned overnight a lot of the time. I had a small cart with some cleaning supplies on it and went to the area all by myself. The gym was not a big open area, but more many different sections. I got to work cleaning and I was pretty focused on what I was doing. I enjoyed cleaning. Most of the time I found it satisfying. After I'd been there for about 20 or 30 minutes, I heard a noise from far away. I assumed it was just somebody weightlifting. I wasn't aware of anybody else in the immediate area, though some time later I heard it again. This time, I realized that the sound was coming from the stairwell. It was not common for people to be in the stairwell, but sometimes people would walk up and down it. The noises didn't really sound like weightlifting noises, and I didn't really know why somebody would be in there for that long. I thought maybe it was one of my co-workers doing something. I casually walked over the stairwell, which was to the left and across the room. When I got there, I started walking, but I saw a man already inside the stairwell. He did not work at the gym, but he also wasn't wearing any gym workout clothes. He was wearing black jeans, a black jacket, and had long stringy hair, and he was facing the opposite direction. He was just standing there, not really doing anything. I turned around and walked away. There were a few classrooms nearby, and I went inside to clean one of them. These classrooms had wooden floors, mirrors, and a couple windows that looked out into the hallway. About 10 minutes in, something caught my eye. The windows were tinted, but I noticed somebody standing outside one of them. I soon realized that it was the same guy in the stairwell. He was just standing there, looking at me and staring into the room. It gave me the creeps. I just tried to ignore it though, and I kept cleaning. He was just there, for an uncomfortable amount of time, probably over a minute. Then, I looked up, and he was gone. Whoever this guy was, he seemed pretty sketchy. I questioned if he was even a member of our gym. Obviously, I didn't know all the members because it was really large. However, I would recognize a good number of people though who worked around the same time as me. I never even saw this guy before. Still, I did my best job to ignore him. After cleaning the classroom, I cleaned several other areas and straightened them out. I went to the weight room and just put the weights back in order. When I was doing this, I saw the man again. He was not near me, but he was walking around slowly. I didn't know what he was doing here, but still, I wasn't going to ask him. We had somebody working at the front desk at all times. You had to scan in to get inside the gym, so clearly this guy was a member, or else how else would he get in? That's what I was thinking, and I went on with my cleaning. I was in the corner of the weight room cleaning the mirrors there. This area was really far away, and we had a couple weights in them. As I was there, I once more saw the guy, except this time he was walking towards me and he was carrying a barbell. He held the barbell over his shoulder, and immediately I got a bad feeling. He was walking right towards me and staring at me. I tried to move away without making it obvious I was trying to get away from him specifically. I walked away from the corner to the side. I was near the stairwell and I headed towards it. When I did, the man changed directions and walked a little bit faster towards me. What was he going to do? Whack me? With a barbell? At this point, when I got to the stairs, I jogged up them quickly. It would be nearly impossible to go upstairs holding a barbell with any kind of speed. I heard the guy enter the stairwell, but I did not hear him go up the stairs behind me. When I made it to the top though, I heard an extremely loud noise of the barbell being thrown to the ground. I walked over to the front desk and found one of my co-workers. I told him about the man and he didn't know who he was talking about. I realized that somehow this guy must have snuck in. We decided to go and ask who he was and tell him to leave. We carefully walked down to the stairs and saw the barbell on the ground, but the man was nowhere in sight. After looking around, we shortly found him. He was walking near the cardio area. We tried to get his attention, but he ignored us. I asked the man if he was a member, but he just kept on walking. He didn't even answer me. As my co-worker followed the guy, he made it clear if you don't leave, he's going to call the police. The guy just turned away and he tried to walk away from my co-worker. Then he started running away from us. We just could not let him go because he seemed dangerous. We went back to the front desk and called the police. They arrived a short time later and went into the gym to look for the guy. Eventually, they found him hiding behind the Stairmaster machine. He would not leave at first, so the police had to physically remove him from the gym. I really didn't know what his problem was. That was by far my scariest experience working at the gym.